For generations, audiences knew Jay Silverheels as Tonto, the loyal, brave companion of the Lone Ranger. But behind the iconic character was a man far more complex, far more brilliant, and far more underappreciated than Hollywood ever allowed the world to see, and only now is the truth finally coming to light. Born Harold J. Smith in 1912, Jay Silverheels grew up on the Six Nations Reserve in Ontario, Canada. Long before Hollywood called, he was an athlete, a lacrosse champion, a poet, and a performer. Yet when he arrived in movies during the 1940s, Hollywood had only one role waiting for native actors: the silent sidekick. When he accepted the role of Tonto in 1949, Silverheels brought dignity to a character written with almost no depth. He insisted Tonto be portrayed not as a stereotype, but as a warrior, intelligent, calm, deeply loyal. He fought producers, corrected scripts, and pushed for a more respectful image of Native people at a time when almost no one else in Hollywood cared, but few knew the personal cost. While the show's star, Clayton Moore, became a national hero, Jay Silverheels remained underpaid, uncredited for his contributions, and often mocked because of his heritage. In interviews, he joked bitterly about how Hollywood treated him. But his laughter couldn't hide the truth. He carried the weight of an entire culture on his shoulders. Off-screen, Jay Silverheels was a pioneering voice for Native representation. He co-founded the Indian Actors Workshop in 1963, giving Indigenous performers a place to train, write, and be seen. He spent his own money, his own time, and his own influence to help others get opportunities he never had. Yet Hollywood rarely acknowledged his activism during his lifetime. Even as he grew older and faced declining health in the 1970s, Jay continued to mentor young actors, insisting, "You deserve to be more than the background." He passed away in 1980, but his legacy has only grown. Modern Native actors call him a trailblazer, a man who refused to be defined by the limitations of his era. And today, historians and fans finally recognize that Jay Silverheels wasn't just Tonto. He was a leader, a fighter, a cultural warrior who pushed Hollywood toward respect and honesty. The truth is simple. Jay Silverheels gave far more to Hollywood than Hollywood ever gave to him. And the world is only now beginning to understand the depth of his courage, both on the screen and far beyond it. If Jay Silverheels' story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. His legacy deserves to be remembered, not as a sidekick, but as a hero